Hello, Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson. Well, that was a pleasant afternoon, Rembrandt dear.
Pleasant, but unprofitable. As many times as I've been to the horse races, I've never seemed to have the gumption to quit them when I'm ahead.
Like Damon Runyon once said, horse players die broke.
I'm also reminded of that old song, Horses Don't Bet on People. But the scenery was lovely. I enjoyed it.
Yes, Golden Gate Field is a beautiful park.
Why are you headed up into the Berkeley Hills, Candy?
I wanted to avoid that traffic on the East Shore Highway this time of afternoon. And two, I just had a thought.
Bully for you. So few people have them anymore. What might the idea be?
I know a cozy little spot to eat over in Lafayette. How would you like to have dinner there instead of town?
Splendid, girl. Sounds delightful. Ma, this is rather forlorn country up this way.
Help! Help me, please!
What was that?
It came from back there, Candy. It must be from that house. It's the only one around here.
Come back! Help! Serious!
Yes, it is that house. Let's find out what this is all about, Ducky.
Now there's a fine start for a cozy dinner in Lafayette. It could only happen to Candy Matson, San Francisco's well-known private investigator. Whether she's at home in a penthouse on Telegraph Hill or at the races in Albany, it makes no difference. Trouble always seems to pop up its dangerous head, and this was no exception.
What was that the man said about the maze of events? He's right, but in such a mild way. Just to pick a word at random, it was murder. Sorry if the word sets up a feeling like a fingernail down a blackboard, but leave us to confront it. That's what it was, murder. And it might have gone on ad infinitum. That's part of the story and comes later. What comes first, sir, was the fact that I stopped the car, turned around, and drove up in front of this lonely house. The front door was open, so Rembrandt and I walked in. There, by an open window, was a man on his knees, draped over the windowsill from where he had called.
Thank you! Oh, thank you!
It's a heart attack. Quick, Rembrandt, help me get him on the couch.
Surely.
Then we'll get his collar open and loosen his tie. There we are.
My wife! Gone for doctor!
Good. How long ago?
Don't know. 10 minutes maybe. Can't wait. Too late. Here, take this envelope. Deliver it. Deliver.
Take it easy. Don't try to talk. Save all the strength you possibly can.
This important must talk. Must.
I've got his tie off, Candy.
Yes. Never mind his collar, though. It won't do him any good. Not now.
Candy! You don't mean he's dead?
I'm afraid so. I can't feel any pulse.
This is a fine kettle of smelt. How do we explain this, Dove?
The only way to explain it. Just tell what happened the way it happened.
We will believe that we were just driving along a lonely road, heard this chap call for help, went to his aid, and then had him expire gracefully half a minute later. It's too pat, Candy.
Truth is always hard to swallow, Rembrandt.
Well, this is cozy. What do we do now?
Leave. Report it to the police and be on our way. There's nothing we can do by hanging around.
We could stay and console the widow when she returns.
No, I hate scenes like that. She'll cry and I'll feel miserable for a week. Come on, Duchy, let's go.
You aren't forgetting the envelope, are you?
No, that was the request of a dying man. I'll follow through with it.
Oh!
Rembrandt, what's wrong?
It startled me. A black cat just ran across the doorstep in front of us.
Now, don't start anything like that. A cat's a cat, whether it's black, green, or beige. It's only the kinds that walk on two legs that make me worry.
Oh, pardon me.
Certainly. Are you the doctor?
Yes, that's right.
I'm afraid you're just a bit late, Doctor. The gentleman in there is dead.
What? Jerome dead? Oh, the fool. I warned him.
I'm not being curious, you understand. But where's the gentleman's wife?
Why, inside, isn't she?
No, just before he died, he said she'd gone to get you.
She called me on the phone. I assumed it was from the house here.
I just knew something like this would happen. It was the black cat.
Ducky, come on. By the way, Doctor, what's the gentleman's name?
Moreland. Jerome Moreland. Wait just a moment, young lady. If you don't know him, what were you doing inside?
That's a good question. Answer the good Dr. Candy.
Well, my friend here and I were driving up the road. Obviously, Mr. Moreland waited to the window, opened it, and called to us as we were passing. But it was too late. He died in less than 30 seconds.
Come along with me, will you, please? First, I want to examine Jerome. Then I'll have to have some information from you for my reports.
We went back inside the house, and the doctor busied himself with whatever doctors busy themselves, and they examined the corpus. Rembrandt and I stood in the entrance hall and watched. When the medic finished, he fired a volley of questions at us. Where we lived, how long, occupations, etc., and etc. Then he excused us. It felt funny being on the opposite end of an inquisition. We drove back across the Bay Bridge and ate at a place in Chinatown. And all the time, I had one tiny, gnawing thought at the back of my head. What had happened to Moreland's wife? When one's husband is dying, you don't stop off for a pan of hamburger and call the doctor from a butcher shop. After dinner, Rembrandt, who had been silent, spoke up.
Dub, I can't place my finger on the exact cause, but I don't have a slight touch of the vapors.
Oh, Ducky, I'm sorry.
It was either the sight of that poor man dying on the couch or the tomato chow yuck. In either case, I like to get home. I tapped the aspirin bottle and retired to my downy. Would you be a love and drive me to my domicile?
Certainly, dear. I've got a little errand I want to run anyway.
Oh, girl, what are you going to entail yourself in this Berkeley thing?
You know me and my hunches, Rembrandt. Something smells about this deal. I don't like it. In the first place, I'm not too sure about that doctor. The more I think about it, the more it strikes me that he gave the late Jerome Moreland a very amateurish going over.
I noticed that too.
That was a family home, Ducky. It showed great huge gobs of loving care. If Moreland's wife was that kind of homemaker, she wouldn't just run out of the house and call a doctor and forget to come back.
I admit it does sound suspicious. It's that cat, believe me.
You do have a touch of the vapors. Come, Lamb, I'll take you home. You're becoming delirious. I drove Rembrandt to his place on California Street, then over Kearney to the Hall of Justice. It was just possible that my number one boy, Inspector Ray Mallard of San Francisco Homicide, might still be on the job homiciding. The only place to park was a red zone. So I took the loyalty oath, parked, and went into the grim gray structure of justice. Mallard was still homiciding.
Well, Cupcake, what brings you around to these dank dungeons?
Not love. Not at this late hour.
If that isn't just like a suspicious foot flap. A girl drops around to say hello, and right off the bat she gets a verbal left right in the chin. You've got to admit, Candy, the thing looks phony. Social calls are usually made a bit earlier in the evening.
Okay, you've got me. I'm here on business.
You see, if you'd admitted it in the first place, we would have saved 5 lines of dialogue. Where's the pitch?
I just met a doctor.
How thrilling. That doesn't happen to just anyone.
Said doctor affected me like aphis.
What's the aphis on the aphis?
It has something to do with a gent who died under my very nose, Mallard dear.
That's occupational with you. Now suppose we start from the beginning. Then I can sort the facts.
Do you know a man by the name of Jerome Moreland?
Jerome Moreland? Are you kidding? He's merely one of the world's outstanding scientists.
Shake hands then with the hand that unloosed the sty. He up and died this afternoon.
What? Why, this is terrible, Candy.
Mallard dear, I've never seen you so quite upset.
It's going to upset the entire country. Dr. Moreland was a very vital cog in the United States' international security.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
You will when you start reading page 1 in tonight's papers. Come, Candy, you're better than that. Moreland, doesn't it mean anything to you?
Nope, sorry.
He's the man who played one of the leading roles in developing the A-bomb. He contributed largely to the H-bomb, and from what I've heard, he was working on something currently that would have outmoded both of them.
Oh, sure. Now I remember. He made the cover of Time about a month ago, didn't he?
That's the one.
Imagine, and I was there when he died.
How did it happen, Candy?
Rembrandt and I were driving up this road in Berkeley. We heard this fellow call for help from his house. We went back, and there he was. Heart attack, I'm sure.
What a shame. Moreland meant an awful lot to the security of this country. He was one of the colossal brains of the world. Of course, you'll be called for the inquest, Candy.
Oh, sure, that I know. After all the data the doctor put down, I'm going to be the star.
Who was the doctor?
What?
His name. What was the doctor's name?
Mallard, and this you won't believe. I forgot to ask.
And you make a living as a private eye. Oh, Candy, give it up.
In the meantime, thanks for the information on Jerome Moreland.
You leaving, Cupcake?
Uh-huh. I've gone as far as I can here. As I left the Hall of Justice, the frog was oozing in through the Golden Gate. I bought a paper, and sure enough, there were the details on the death of Dr. Jerome Moreland. Headlines, that's what. He was everything Mallard said he was. A world-renowned figure. And of course, my name was mentioned prominently as having been there at the time of his death. I went home, hit the sack, and had a fistful of dreams for myself. Just as the bell rang and saved me from going another round. It was 9 o'clock the following morning. Hello, Yukon 28209.
Miss Candy Matson?
That's right.
Sorry to wake you. This is the coroner's office in Berkeley.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
You'll have to appear at the inquest of Dr. Jerome Moreland this afternoon at 1 o'clock. This office.
Okay, I'll be there. Thanks.
Quite all right.
I got up, showered, dressed, and started applying the lipstick. That's when I remembered. Looking for the lipstick in my purse, there was the letter the good Dr. Moreland had entrusted to me. I'd actually forgotten all about it. I looked at the envelope. It was addressed to Hans Zucker, Snug Harbor Hotel, San Francisco. I had an appointment, so Mr. Zucker would have to wait. I picked up Rembrandt and drove over to the coroner's office in Berkeley. It was the usual routine. Questions, answers, I testified, then Rembrandt, then the doctor we had bumped into the day before. Still no Mrs. Moreland. That, to me, was the major issue in the whole deal. There was only one opening. That was Hans Zucker at the Snug Harbor Hotel on the waterfront. That's where I went.
Who?
Stand to windward and I'll do it again. Zucker. Hans Zucker.
I don't believe we have anyone registered here under that name. Of course, I've just returned from vacation.
Well, if you can get your mind off the Whispering Pines, would you take a look in your book?
Yes, of course. I'm terribly sorry. There doesn't seem to be any Zucker listed.
One moment, Buster. What's that? Right there.
Oh, I must have overlooked that. That is Zucker, isn't it?
It doesn't spell Smithy. Now come on. What's the room number?
Look, miss, why don't you beat it? You're just leading with your chin.
It's my chin, and I'll lead with it if I want to.
Are you acquainted with Herr Zucker?
Acquainted with him? Of course. Not only that, I have a very important letter for him.
Well, why didn't you say so? Room 332, to the left after you get out of the elevator.
On the third floor, a few steps around the dingy corridor from the elevator, and I was face to face with room 332. I knocked. I cooled my heels for about 10 seconds and knocked again. Still no answer, so I tried the door. It squeaked open. The blinds were down, and I was in almost the dusky darkness. I tumbled around for the light switch, found it on the wall next to the door, and clicked it on. What I saw wasn't pretty. The body of what had been an attractive woman in her early 40s sprawled out on the floor on the other side of the bed. It only took me one look to tell me she was dead. A set of finger marks around her neck told me how it had been done, and another look at her neck told me who it was. A locket with the name inscribed in back, Ruth Moreland. I'm glad I got that far because that's when the lights went out. I floated through space for an eon or two. Then vaguely something came into audible focus. A voice. A familiar voice. Yes, it was Mallard. At first it sounded as though he were coming from a deep well. So that's where I was. Then his voice changed.
Come on, Candy, snap out of it. You've been out long enough. Come on, Cupcake, get with it. I'm tired of having to hover over you like a duenna. So you've got a lump on your head. I've got work to do. Candy, be reasonable. Untwill your eyes and talk to me.
Mallard stopped spinning around and I saw where I was. A cot in an emergency hospital.
That's the girl.
Hi, Mallard. What happened?
Supposing you tell me.
I would if I could, but I can't. I know I got smacked, though.
That's for sure. You could use that knob on your head for a booking.
How did I get here?
It seems whoever tapped you on the noggin didn't want it to take permanently. They gave you the treatment lightly, just enough to put you in a blackout, then went through your purse like a tornado through Kansas. The room clerk at a joint called the police to come and pick up one limp tomato named Candy Matson and one very dead tomato named Ruth Moreland. Did you have anything to do with Mrs. Moreland's ugly finish, Candy?
You know better than that, Mallard.
Answer me this, then. Could that hotel clerk have given you the wallop?
Might, but I don't think so.
I was just wondering. He had shifty eyes, like the 49er backfield. Okay, so somebody goes through your purse. Candy, look at me, as best you can. That's a girl. Now, do you have information somebody could be after? It's not in your purse.
Mallard? Have you been going through my purse, too?
Don't get so excited. It was only in the line of duty.
Don't you realize that a woman's purse is a private domain?
Not when the owner of said purse is laid out unconscious on a hotel room floor. Now answer my question. Do you have any information someone could be after?
I already did. I'll repeat the answer. Uh-huh.
Like I said before, it's not in your purse. Where is it?
I have it on me.
Oh,
Much safer than a purse.
yeah. What's it all about, Candy?
Honestly, Mallard, dear, I can't tell. I really don't know.
What's the information?
I don't know.
Who killed Ruth Moreland?
I don't know.
You know, Candy, sometimes our friendship makes my job awfully tough. Okay, so we don't know nothing. The chief is terribly unhappy about this whole thing. Take my advice. Don't go on any long trips.
I wobbled to my feet, and Mallard took me back down to the waterfront to get my car. Then he patted me on the hand and went home. Now I was more than just curious. If somebody tagged me on the head with sap, I wanted to know what the reason was. So throwing etiquette out of the window, I reached down inside where I was keeping the letter and opened the envelope. Addressed to Hans Zucker, it read. Too many after Formula 12K have decided on this method. In case my heart goes bad, you will receive this. Look for the collar on Jake. Keep up the good work. Jerry. Now where was I? Look for a collar on Jake. Jake who? Whom? What sort of collar? Barrymore? Prince of Wales? Hoover? In spite of the Gene Krupa symphony going on in my head, I wanted to hear more. The only chance of getting same was to revisit the late Jerome Moreland in Berkeley. There it was, the house where Rembrandt and I had heard the late scientist calling. Naturally it was locked, but I knew a way to get in. Suddenly I was. I probed about, expecting nothing, and found just that, nothing. I tried the back door. It led out into a terraced patio. I came up short. There, under a tree, was a small boy, sitting with a cat on his lap. The same cat, I imagined, that had frightened Rembrandt. Well, hello there, Sonny.
Hello,
What's your name?
Tommy. What's yours, lady?
Candy.
That's a pretty name.
Yes, it is. Very pretty. I hope I didn't startle you.
Well, yes, you did, frankly.
My apologies. I was looking for my son. He must have climbed over the fence. I didn't expect to find him here, now that both Dr. and Mrs. Moreland have passed away. Tommy, where have you been?
Right here, playing with the cat.
Yes, of course. Here, let me have the cat. That's a good lad. You come right home now. Mommy says that dinner is almost ready. Again, I'm sorry, miss. I hope I didn't frighten you. Come right home, Tommy.
That's a pretty cat, Tommy. How long have you had him?
Oh, he's not mine. He lives here with Mr. Moreland.
Oh, I see. Well, don't you think it'd better go along with your daddy?
That's not my daddy.
What? Who is he, Tommy?
I don't know. I never saw him before.
What do you know about that? Listen to me. Tommy, what's the cat's name?
Jake.
Thanks, Tommy. I'll see you later. You've got one gross of popsicles coming. On me. Sometimes I'm a dope. I should have sniffed something when the guy didn't question my presence in the moorland yard. Now he had a head start on me. Only one way out, and that was over the fence. I wasn't too familiar with fence climbing tactics, but I could learn, and I did, in a hurry. I shimmied over to the other side just in time to catch a glimpse of my man with the cat clutched firmly under his arm. He was running down the back lot. There was a little stream running through the property, dividing the homes on one side of the block from those on the far side. I saw the plan he had in mind. He was going to cut across the small wooden footbridge, look up through one of the yards on the other side, out in front where he obviously had a car waiting. I saw I'd never be able to head him off on foot, so I ran back the way I came in, found my car, and whipped around to the other street. Empty. It was a one-way street, so I followed, taking what I thought would be the same course as my quarry. I must have gone about 15 blocks when all of a sudden I was confronted by 1, a crowd, 2, a couple of very messy cars embracing each other head-on.
Candy Matson, Yukon 28209, will be back in just one moment. But first, a word from our sponsor, Johnson's patented asthma cigarettes. Due to lobbying in the government from Big Asthma, we can't technically tell you that they've been proven to cure asthma, but we can tell you that Johnson's patent-pending asthma cigarettes haven't been proven not to cure asthma. And that's good enough for me. And now, a return to your regularly scheduled programming.
What's the commotion, officer?
Take a look, I shouldn't have to explain that.
Quite a tangle. Anyone hurt?
Yeah, the lady in the sedan is pretty badly banged up. The guy in the coupe is dead.
The guy in the... That's him!
What? You know him?
No. Was there any sign of a cat? A black cat with white paws?
Have you been drinking, lady?
No, officer. That man had a cat with him.
I haven't seen any cats, and I was only a block away when I heard the crash.
Then Jake's bound to be in the vicinity. Excuse me, officer. I've got to see a cat about a man. I got out of the car, left the officer with his mouth open and his arches flat. Now, if I were a cat, where would I go? Someplace away from the commotion of people and wrecked automobiles. That's where I looked, and sure enough, I found Jake in 5 minutes. I picked him up, got back in the car, drove over to the Hall of Justice in San Francisco. I didn't have to worry about my friend in the coupe. I knew where we could find him if we needed him. On a slab in the Berkeley morgue. I found Mallard sitting at his desk going over some papers. I walked in and plopped Jake, the cat, right in front of him.
What the? Get that thing out of here, Candy.
What's the matter, Mallard dear? Is the great bold footflat scared of cats?
It doesn't look dignified. Get him out of here.
I have a hunch Jake is a very valuable cat. He belonged to the late Dr. Jerome Moorland.
What are you up to, Candy?
See that collar around Jake's neck? I think it has a little container on it. Pry it open, Mallard. I think we'll find something.
It's a solid little thing. Wait a minute. There we are.
Wait a minute. Come here, Jake. On the floor. That's it. Empty the tube, Mallard.
Well, what do you know about that? Microfilm.
And 5 will get you 10 that they contain the formula for Dr. Moorland's latest development.
Okay, Cupcake, start unraveling the mystery.
Well, this is going to sound incredible, but it's true, so help me. Just before Dr. Moorland died on the couch, he gave me an envelope asking me to deliver it to the name on the outside, Hans Zucker, Snug Harbor Hotel. That's where I got smacked over the head. He'd read the accounts in the paper stating that I was present at Moorland's demise. He figured the good doctor had given me information to pass on.
I'd like to have a talk with that guy.
It's too late, Mallard. He's busy atoning for his sins. He was killed this afternoon in an auto crash.
Well, that saves me a spot of work. I don't like guys who go around slugging my favorite private eye.
When I got home, I decided to look at the message inside the envelope. The meat of the thing indicated that said Zucker was to look for the collar on Jake. I got to thinking about what Rembrandt had said earlier. It was that cat. I'd kidded Rembrandt about that. Just how vital remains to be seen when you have your boys enlarge that microfilm.
You were right. It is incredible, Candy. How about Mrs. Moreland? How did she figure in the deal?
The way I get it is this. Moreland and Zucker had worked together. Moreland had been working night and day. As a matter of fact, that's what brought on his fatal heart attack. Zucker was a foreign agent, and he was here for the express purpose of getting the facts and figures away from Moreland. He became impatient, bumped into Mrs. Moreland on her way to call the doctor, forced her to go to his hotel where he tried to make her tell him where the doctor kept his records. She wouldn't talk. So, in a wild burst of frenzy, he choked her to death. That's when I walked in shortly after.
These spy boys are tough cookies.
Yes, but not especially smart. If he'd been patient, I'd have given him that information, willingly, according to Dr. Moreland's dying bequest. Isn't that irony for you?
That's right. The poor dope was bilked by his own chicanery.
As it was, he almost got away with it. If it hadn't been for that auto wreck, he'd have been off and running back to his comrades.
Well, Candy, I've got to admit, you used your head on this one.
I most certainly did. I've still got the lump. Come on, Mallard, knock off a little while. You can buy me a Gibson.
A Gibson? Sure, you've got one coming.
And while we're at it, one big bowl of milk for Jake. Straight.